I think this is very interesting as well because I think he's the first non-Bruneian guest.
Yes.
Oh my God. You are our first non-Bruneian guest.
Awesome.
This is very okay. This
I
is gonna be.
I feel honored actually for that.
No, I feel honored that you're here.
No, you know what?
Actually, I was so surprised when I saw your message. I thought it was a scam.
No, come
Yeah.
on. Yeah. I mean, didn't you have to look into my profile?
No, after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay,
First,
okay.
I was like, "What? Who's this?" And then I click. I'm like, "Wait, this is an actual."
It's an actual human being.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I said, I asked a few people. I made a few friends here in Brunei because it's so easy to make friends here, actually.
Ah.
Yeah, I found this. I've traveled to many countries in the last year. And for me, while I'm traveling, I think the most important thing with a country and how I perceive it and how I end up thinking about it once I leave is based on the people.
Oh yeah.
Like a country could be beautiful geographically and architecturally and all of that, but like if the people aren't cool, then to me it's like I don't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And here the most important thing to me is like the people have been really, really nice,
Yeah.
really, really cool, really easy to talk to, and that's important when I'm vlogging. Like my I don't know if you've seen my videos, but like my bread and butter is being able to speak with people.
Yeah.
So it was so easy to do that here. And as I've been speaking to people, I asked them, is there a podcast that people do here? Like, is there? And they mentioned you. And another one, I'm not going to say names, but they said that you are the person I should reach out to. So that's why I sent you a message.
That is so flattering. Whoever you are, thank you so much. Like
It was more than one, by the way.
really
More than one person.
Oh my
Yeah, yeah.
God.
So
It's interesting coming from an outsider.
you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Just put it that way.
Because like when you're living in my shoes, it's like we don't know actually if people even, talk about it outside of the podcast.
100%.
In public.
And as content creators, I think sometimes we're so involved in our bubble, right?
Yeah,
That
and you just don't know. Are people watching?
Yeah,
you look at numbers, but you don't see them as people.
Yeah.
They're just digits.
Yes.
But they're actually like one view is like potentially one person.
Exactly.
I agree with what you said when you travel to a different country, and what's most important is the experience and the experience with the people. Because I just told you I came back from Kuching and I had a wonderful time because we work with the Kuching production, and I think this is where the quote where it says like great company is more important than where you are. Home is where you have great company.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So I'm very proud of our, Bruneians for, making him feel at home.
Yeah.
You want to shout out who your friends are and how did you meet them?
So I'm as you can see, I like to talk.
yeah, I really like this already. Yeah.
So I was vlogging in the mall.
Okay.
The mall.
Yeah.
Is that the only mall here, by the way?
That is the only.
Like
Mall.
legit big mall, right?
It's not.
But like, would you say that's like the main mall? Like, that was the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm walking. It's weird. Every country I go to, I make a mall video, and sometimes those mall videos end up being the most popular videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess people just want to see what malls look like. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was making a video in the mall, and I'm walking, and this young gentleman named Chris. Shout out to you, Chris. He comes up to me, and we start having a great conversation. We can relate on some things, music, blah, 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 whatever. And and then he's the one who actually mentioned you first. And then he introduced me to a few of his friends,
Yeah.
and they also mentioned you as well. So
Chris is a Bruneian.
he's a Bruneian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
So how long have you been here?
Now it's been about a week. About
week?
Yeah. I've been here since, what's today's date? The
Today is the 22nd.
22nd. Yeah, I've been here since the 15th.
Oh, not long ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm still fresh.
Wow.
Do I look fresh?
Yeah, I don't know why I got this impression that you've been here for a while.
Yeah, because I think I got so tapped in with the community here.
Yeah.
It feels like I've been here for a while.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it feels like I've been here for a while, but in the best way possible.
Yeah.
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 I was telling your camera operator
Faris.
when we met, Faris, that before this I was in Bangladesh, and I don't know if you've ever been to Bangladesh.
I've never.
But it's literally take Brunei and flip it. It's the complete opposite. It's chaos.
Oh my God.
It's chaos.
Really?
I mean, you have like I was in Dhaka, the capital city. You have 30 million people in a city that's not that big in size.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the exact size, but it is so packed and densely crowded. and it is literally chaos constantly. As soon as you get out of your hotel or house,
It's like,
it's
whoa.
just beep, beep, beep. It's like constant madness. And people are, you know, it took me like a few days to realize like people over there are really kind. Bangladeshi people are also very kind,
Okay.
but they're like no BS people. They don't have time. And then it finally took me time to understand why
Yeah.
they're in such mood, because after a week, I started becoming like that. Because I'm telling you, the traffic and the madness will
You
drive you.
adapted.
Yeah, it'll drive you nuts.
Yeah.
It'll drive you nuts. I'm from New York. I'm not from the city, but like I've been around the city my whole life.
Yeah.
And it's also very chaotic. I don't know if you've ever been to New York
I've never
City.
been to the States.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
Well, you're welcome. More than welcomed. But yeah, it reminded me of that times like 20. So coming here to Brunei was like a nice, like, oh, thank God. Like, it's so peaceful here.
Oh my gosh.
So quiet.
I can't wait to get into that with you because I did watch a couple of videos, but on the surface level, because how I usually conduct my interviews and how I choose my guests is that I don't want to do too much deep research on them. I want to know them enough to be able to ask questions. Like, I want to now know, because I'm curious now, you mentioned you were from New York. Like, if you can just like share with us, like, what's it like growing up? Like, how did you get into content creation? Like, I want to give me a context of who you are.
Okay.
First,
All right.
not as a content creator,
Just
but as a person.
who is Myer?
Who is Myer?
Okay.
Yeah.
So my name is Myer.
We should have started with that.
Hello, everyone. My channel is at Myer Travels on YouTube. And who I am. So I am a Pakistani, but born in America.
Okay.
A lot of people always ask me on my videos, like, Myer, why are you trying to sound like an American? I'm not trying to sound like an American. This is who I am. I was born in America. I think people look at my face and they're like, but this just doesn't match, you know? Because most people who aren't from America don't realize that American people are not only white. You can be anything and be American.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I get this like, are you really American? Yes, I am. I'm not putting on a fake accent here. And yeah, so I was born in Staten Island, New York. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Small borough. It's one of the 5 boroughs. You know, you have Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan.
Yes.
Yeah. So lived there for like about half my life, and then we moved not too far away. So yeah, and I grew up pretty just normal. Like, I didn't grow up in like a rich family or anything. But we were always well taken care of. I always had everything I ever
was like
needed.
enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I got educated in America. You know, I was never the smartest guy. I always had some skills, but the skills weren't
Academic.
academic.
Okay.
Yeah, I was more of like always a people person. I've always been like able to break down the ice with people. I've always been able to make people feel comfortable. I'm like the guy in my family that, like, when there's like 10 of us in a room, I'm the one who like can kind of like make everybody come together, make everybody laugh,
You're
and
the
feel
heart.
comfortable. Yeah, basically.
Wait, how big is your family?
So my family, my immediate family is just 6 people. So I have 4 brothers and sisters. Sorry, I have 3 brothers and sisters. It's 4 including me, and then obviously my mother and father. My real mother actually passed away when I was like 10 or 11 years old.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and but I have a really cool stepmother, and she's like my real mom. She's been raising me since I was a young boy. She's actually half Japanese. Yeah. Half Japanese and half white, but like Scottish or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. When people are white, like mixed, we're just like, yeah, they're white in America. Yeah. Cause we don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's like, she brought like a crazy mix into my family, right? Cause we're 100% Pakistani, you know? So it was like a complete, like a curveball.
Whoa.
Yeah. But it actually, it molded me in many ways too. Like in many ways, we grew up very multicultural, even though we're all American. Like, she's American, but her mother is straight from Japan. Wow. Yeah, her mother actually, her father had to leave like Hiroshima, and Nagasaki because of the nuclear bombing. Yeah, so they're straight from Japan, but she's obviously like grew up in America, very American. But we always we had that multicultural. So within America, it's funny because like, when you're when you're come from a certain background, even though you're American, you grow up differently when you have that background, because you have like certain morals and things that you abide by that maybe your friend in school doesn't, and so like we grow up American, but we also grow up with our culture and our morals.
Yeah.
I don't know if that kind of sums up who I am.
A little bit. Yeah. It's good to know. So how did you start getting into content creation? Or did you have any jobs prior? Like,
So content creation. So I've always been a creative person.
okay.
I've been someone. I'm the black sheep of my family.
Oh, the creatives are always.
Are you also? Or?
I am the black sheep of my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I am the eldest. I've got 2 younger sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they like doing the right thing by your parents?
They're like my mom's golden children.
Okay.
I am the one that's like giving her a headache every 5 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So my parents still don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they get it, but they're just like, what are you doing? They're like, when are you gonna get a real job?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a real job. Trust me.
Real job.
Yeah. Whatever. So yeah, how did I get into it? I mean, I always have been creative. So like when I was young, I started writing poetry, and I loved like rhyming and poetry, and I used to sing.
No
Yeah,
way.
there's some videos out there of me singing. I hope you guys don't.
Is it
find
in
them.
your channel or is it a different channel?
It's somewhere else.
Oh.
It's deep in the abyss of YouTube, and I hope you guys never find it because I'm embarrassed by it. But it's like what kicked off my creativeness, and then I got into like making beats. I'm like production. I did a podcast for a little bit. Yeah, I did a podcast during COVID times. But I've always been into like content creation. I'm the only one in my family who's been into these things. And when I was 20, when college was done, I moved to China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to teach English. So I was in China for 3 years. And while I was in China, I was traveling within Asia. Experiences that I never got in my life, because my family, we never traveled. Like my parents were so busy with work and business. My parents are business owners as well. So when you're a business owner, you're like tied. Even though you're free when you're a business owner, you're still tied down in many ways.
Yep.
So we never got to travel, and it was something that I always give my parents. Come on, why didn't we travel? Like, I would always give them heat about it. And I decided like when I get older, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I was in China, I would travel, and then I moved to Africa. I lived in Ethiopia for a year, and I was teaching there as well.
Oh my God.
And I came back to America after this 4 or 5 years, and I felt very depressed. I felt very, very depressed. Like I felt like I didn't belong in my own country. I don't know if you've ever felt like this, but it's like I saw so much of the outside world. I learned so much, and I fell in love with just being able to like learn about different people and cultures. And then I came back to like America, and I just felt like I didn't belong, But anywho, I wrote it out because this was around 2018, 2019. Then COVID hit. I was doing real estate. I was in real estate sales.
Okay. So you were an educator, and then you came back to US and became real estate. Okay.
Yeah. And that was the time in my life where I made the most money I ever did.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was good at sales. I'm good at speaking.
Yeah.
Once again, I've always used my gift of gab in some way, teaching, sales, and now
you're always
whatever.
like there.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was a gift that I think God gave me, the ability to be able to speak with people and make them feel comfortable, as I mentioned before. So I was doing sales. I was making more money than I ever did in my life, but I still felt very depressed. And that time made me realize like, money doesn't make you happy. You need it. Obviously, what I'm doing right now, traveling, I need money. I couldn't do this without it. But it's not the sole. It's not going to be if money's your sole motive, it's not going to make you happy. You know what I mean? And people used to say this to me all the time, be like, yeah, whatever. It's because you already have money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I actually experienced it for myself, and I was like, oh, okay, this is real. So then I was like, how can I do something that I love and make money? And I love to travel. I love to meet people, talk to people. And I started running into like travel vlogs online. You know, guys like Davud or Drew Binsky's or, you know, your Mark Weens of the world, like, you know, guys who are really tried and proven in the space. And I was like, I feel like I could do this, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, they're not like reinventing the wheel here. They're just, they're just, you know, doing something that they love and they're good at it, obviously. And I decided I'm going to take my first trip to go and vlog. And this was in literally last year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
Damn.
And I went to Ethiopia, which was the country that I lived in.
Yeah, so you went back.
Yeah, I went back, and that was the first series that I did. And a lot of people, nobody really did Ethiopia at that point.
Yeah.
Nobody really vlogged about Ethiopia the way I did. So I was like, okay, this could be something big. So, but I didn't stop working at home. I didn't like drop everything and go.
Okay.
I just was like, let me dip my toe in.
Yeah.
Let me dip my toe in and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I went to Ethiopia and I did my first vlog series, and it was the craziest experience ever. Like getting used to like walking around with a GoPro, talking to it while people are looking, or like there was so many things that I had to like just beat down out of my mind, like about caring what other people are gonna think. You know, that's the most important thing. And that was that trip. That series wasn't my best, but ironically, that's the series that like literally took my channel off.
Damn.
Yeah. And from there, I didn't look back. Once I came back, I started posting those videos last September to October. So it's been pretty much a year now.
Yeah.
And they did really well. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this. So then I sold my car. I got rid of my apartment. I literally just got done with my life in America. And I just packed my bags and left. And since then,
You haven't been back.
here I am in Brunei.
Wow. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
For taking that huge leap.
Yeah.
And you adapted very like easily into like being a content creator.
Yeah.
Do you edit your videos yourself?
I do.
So you had to learn also.
I had to learn how to edit. Yeah. So I told you I did music and stuff.
So you already had the
So I had
basic
the
of like
know-how of editing. I just had to kind of apply it to video. But obviously I use Premiere Pro. I don't know if it took me time to learn it.
yeah.
But when you love something, you enjoy learning things.
Yes.
Like I'm sure everything you pick up with podcasting,
Yeah,
it's like you
100%.
enjoy it, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because you're doing something that you love. So the passion really just pushes you through, and it's the thing that keeps me going every day. You know. So that's pretty much how I got into it, and now a year later, my channel's grown. You know, a decent amount, and the plan is to just keep going and keep growing. That's it.
Do you remember the moment when you reached a significant milestone, and how did that feel?
So, you know, it's so funny because like I look back at it now, and I have like over 50,000 subscribers now, which is still relatively, you know, I'm still on my way up, but it's still big for me, you know, because I remember when I had like 500 subscribers and I was so happy about it.
Yeah.
You know, on YouTube, I'm sure you know this.
Yes.
You have to reach 1,000 to become monetized, right?
Yes.
So when I hit 1,000, I was like,
Finally.
yeah. So that was
But that's the one part. In order to become a YouTube partner, you have to have 40,000 watch
4,000 watch
4,000, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, shit.
So actually, I hit those both simultaneously.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
Yeah, it just happened that way because my videos are longer form. So it just kind of, I actually hit the hours before I hit the subscribers. Yeah. So I had the watch hours, hit the monetization. That was a big milestone for me because I was like, okay, now I can start making money. Because when I first initially left America, like I told you, I wasn't monetized yet. Yeah. I was just about to be monetized, but I saved up money and I was like willing. It's like any other business, you know, you have to
Have a
spend
safety
money
net, yeah.
to make money, and you're gonna maybe lose money for a few months,
Yeah.
break even for a few months, and then you'll start making money, hopefully. Yeah, so that's basically how it was. And yeah, I guess that was like the biggest moment when I was like, oh, I can make money from this.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know, like I come from a brown family, and anybody who's Asian understands like we don't value this kind of work.
No.
For us, it's like either you become a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, something that has like some kind of title to it and some prestige, that so like when my parents sit in a party, they can be like, my son's a doctor, you know?
Yeah.
And my sister's in law school, ironically. My brother's doing really well with his business, and my youngest brother's in college. And here I am traveling the world doing this. So, but I love it, man. I love it, you know, and I feel like I'm happier than most people that I meet because I'm doing something that I love. And I always tell people, like, I hope this is a feeling that everybody can feel.
Yeah.
I want everybody to feel this. Yeah.
I get what you mean, because it's the same with me in podcasting. Like, it took me quite a number of like ventures in like the content creation category to finally land on something that I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm doing something that I enjoy and something that other people enjoy watching me do. So that's like the perfect balance that you want.
Can I ask you, what were you doing before you got into content creation?
So I was, oh my God, my career path is like so long, and like, okay, I first started in corporate because I, like you, I didn't do well in school, but I mean, you did better. Do you know O levels?
No, we don't do
GC
that.
O level? Okay, no. Okay, so basically, the qualification that I have right now is like the lowest of the low. I didn't go to college, I didn't go to uni, so I live a very sheltered life. And I befriended people who went overseas, who, you know, studied in the US, UK. So they're sort of like acting as my window to like the outside world. So that's where I mainly learn a lot from. And then I jumped from one job to another. I went from banking to IT to real estate as well.
Nice.
And then I even tried to set up a clothing business, but like I just didn't like, well, one, I didn't have the discipline and the right mindset to keep on continuing doing stuff like that. But one thing I know for sure is like every desk job that I get, I always end up fighting with my boss because I am allergic to authority. I hate being told what to do. Don't tell me to come early.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
unless it's yours.
Unless it's mine.
'Cause we're here early today.
Yeah, there you go.
And look how
Yes.
excited we are.
Yeah.
But it's like when someone's telling you to do
Yeah,
it,
it's
you're like,
no.
yeah, we
That
can
came
play-
out. Yeah.
Are we allowed to curse, by the way?
We are.
Okay.
But I'm trying. When I started podcasting, I was
trying to-
cursing.
Okay, I was trying
Yeah.
to hold back some curses because I do curse here and there, but I didn't know, you know.
Ever since my audience, like I have more moms watching now with their kids,
so
so
we
I'm like,
gotta-
okay, I decided to just slow down on the
Okay.
cursing.
Yeah. We'll do it for the moms.
Yeah, we'll do it for the moms and for the kids who are watching. Yeah, and then I got into production, and then that's when I realized I enjoy being on set. So I tried content creation, I tried vlogging. It was okay, but like similar to like, I think anywhere around the world, like it, especially in Brunei, I feel it doesn't make money. And it's even harder to get a head start because I think when I started, influencing or content creation was still very new to the country.
True.
So there was a lot of like, you have to go through a lot of like mental resilience in order to want to succeed.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like coming from a Asian family or Southeast Asian family, it's like no one is supporting you.
No.
Yeah. Like, and no corporates are supportive of you unless they see you have like 10,000 followers and stuff like that, right?
Until they see that they can make money from you as well.
Yeah. And then I just did a lot of other bunch of things. I was mostly behind the camera. And then, I don't know, one day, like podcasting was on the rise. I'm like, I feel like I want to try doing this. So I did solo podcasting. Even then, the numbers were like, oh man, it was so sad. If I look at it now, I'm like, whoa, how did I even continue? I did 16 episodes, regardless of like the 5 views.
And you would just sit in the room and
I was just in the room, like
some
sharing my thoughts.
topics.
Yeah. Like I even have my mic on, and like I didn't have like that condenser. What do you call that? Condenser? The cover, yeah.
the pop filter.
The pop filter.
Yeah,
I used a sock. Yeah, you can see in my older videos.
Nice.
And then I met Fuad, and then he wanted to help me improve the production quality, and that's when we started having guests. That's when everything just sort of like blew up.
Okay.
It blew up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. How long did it take for you to
Oh my God.
like from the solo part till like it was like same question you asked me.
Yeah.
What was the moment that you kind of felt like, oh, I could do this?
I think when we interviewed our first guest, he is Brunei's first influencer, Rano Adidas. I don't know if you've heard him.
No.
Okay.
Was he on your which?
The first guest ever.
Okay, I think I saw a clip of it.
Yeah.
Is he an older guy or?
He's an older guy.
I saw that. Yeah.
So
I didn't understand because you guys were speaking in Malay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, like that sort of like, because I don't know, I feel so grateful to him because he agreed to come on the show not knowing the questions I was going to ask, what the conversations were. So basically, if you don't know, like in Brunei, we're big on like titles and royalty here. So his mother, he's adopted by a princess.
Oh, wow.
Nobody's ever asked him that before. So I ask him questions that people are thinking of, but don't really want to ask him publicly.
Like be hesitant to.
Yeah, but he was so open about it. He was a good sport, and like his episode was like
Awesome.
Yeah, that set the tone.
Okay.
So that's how, like, I guess people knew, okay, you can expect this from IZZY Does It.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
Awesome.
So yeah.
I love that. I love those aha moments for content creators because it kind of also there's so many people out there that like are thinking about doing these kind of things, but they're so afraid of like failure.
Yeah.
And I hope that like people like us can kind of give. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I hope that like people like us can kind of give those people who are thinking about doing it, especially from places like Brunei, you know, places where maybe this kind of work is not as popular.
Yeah.
Maybe you can also encourage others to get into this space.
Always.
Because like for me as a content creator, like I realized like yes, we're all in competition with you. Like travel vloggers, we're all in competition. Like I know who's in the space, who's new in the space, who's doing what, where are they at any time. Like yes, you have to know your competition, of course.
Yeah.
But we all support each other. We have like WhatsApp groups. Like I'm in WhatsApp groups with some of the biggest content creators.
No way.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like we push each other, but at the same time we're in competition with each other.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like everybody can shine. We all have our own lane. The way I do this is so different than the way Harry or Davud or these guys do it because everybody has their own voice.
Yes.
We have our own way. We have our own experiences. We come into it with a different cup, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I think that's one thing that I learned from getting into content creation. It's like I'm not jealous of anyone. I want everybody to win.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I want everybody to win.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like if the space grows, then I grow.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I like that you don't have a scarcity mindset like most people do.
most people do.
Yeah.
And I think at one point in my life I did.
Yeah.
I did have
I think you have to experience that.
Yeah.
And then like trust that, you know what? If it's like meant to be yours, it's gonna be yours.
Yes.
Just put in the hard work, do what you do, you know, respect other people, respect yourself,
100%.
most importantly. You'll get there.
And I realized that like the less you have the scarcity mindset, the more you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't focus on other people
On
and
other
like
people.
feeling envious or like envious in like the toxic way.
Yes.
It's okay to feel envious if it drives you.
If it drives you.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Cool, man.
I know, right? Wait, so do you have a support system that you go back to in times of like low or like you're just like
God.
Okay.
Yeah. God is like my biggest people ask me all the time, like, I'm Muslim, by the way. So I don't know if you could believe that by looking at me, but
No, I was wondering it. I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
But okay. Oh
yeah, I've been born Muslim, obviously.
Okay.
And like people always ask, like, are you traveling alone? I'm like, yeah. Do you ever get lonely? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do get lonely. But I always feel like God is with me. So I never feel like too lonely. I always feel like, okay, Allah's got my back, so I'm good. Yeah. And then of course I have my family.
Yeah.
I speak to them. I don't have a wife. I don't have a girlfriend. Looking for one, but having it's so tough with this content creation and constantly moving around. It's so tough to like get into like relationships and things like that because like I'm constantly moving. Like I'm here for a week and then I'm here and here and here. So it's so tough to like establish relationships, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to be more present. But yeah, like my support system is God and my family for sure. For sure. For now, until I have my own family, inshallah. So yeah, man. And like I never really feel alone. Also, I kind of like, I'm like I heard this term recently called omnivert. You know what an omnivert is?
No, ambivert, yes, but not omnivert.
So there's extrovert and an introvert.
Yeah.
And then there's omnivert, which is someone who can kind of be both.
Okay.
So like I'm definitely an extrovert. I do feel excited. I think the real definition of an extrovert is someone who finds excitement being around others. Which I love it. I love being around other people. I love talking. And if you watch my videos, you'll see that's mostly what I'm doing is talking to others because I think that's the best way to learn about culture and everything. But I also do love my solitude. I love my peace, my space, being alone. I think it's so important. I used to tell I have some friends who could never be alone. They always needed someone around them.
Yeah.
Like they would call me if they didn't have the other friend. It's
yeah.
And I would want to tell them bro, sometimes you just have to be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Because my thing is if you're not comfortable, if you can't be in a room alone by yourself, how do you expect others to be in a room with you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I've learned to enjoy the solitude and peace along with obviously being around people as well.
Yeah.
So I think omnivert describes me
Perfectly.
perfectly.
Wow.
I enjoy both. Because my parents even ask me, don't you get alone sometimes? They worry sometimes. They're you're always alone. But I love it. Because then I get to meet cool people too, you guys, you know? And so it's a balance, you know? Yeah. So as far as, my support system, you asked, God and family, for sure. For sure. And then my fans as well.
Yeah.
Of course. I love you guys.
Aw. Do you have a loyal fan who always sends you messages every now and then?
I have some fans that literally comment on every video. And shout out to you guys. I know exactly who you guys are, and they know I know.
Yeah.
Because I always reply to them. I know exactly who they are. There's a few people that became members on my channel now that are paying to be members. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, I do have loyal fans who really reach out. Sometimes it can get a bit much. You know.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So,
potential wifey?
yeah, there's those too. There's a lot of DMs from girls and stuff too. Sometimes, like I said, a bit intrusive, but it's cool, man. You know, I think what it is when you make content the way we make content. I drop 3 videos a week. I was dropping 4 videos a week. I just slowed it down to 3. 4 videos a week, almost at least 25 to 30 minutes each. So that's over 2 hours of content a week, right? When you're dropping this much amount of content, people feel like they know you.
Yeah.
I think people feel like they're your friend.
Yes.
Which is such a cool thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think people sometimes forget that you're also a human being who needs their privacy.
Yes.
You know, you have your personal life as well.
Yep.
And so sometimes those boundaries get
blurred.
Blurred.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For them especially, right?
Yeah,
and you don't want to be rude or make them feel like you don't care or appreciate them.
No.
So that's why it's a balance that I think I'm also trying to learn. And similar to you, I do have people who followed me from my solo podcast to now who I would say I wouldn't call them fans, but people who support the show.
Yeah.
But I know who they are and they know I know them because I also reply to them every now and then. But yeah, trying to find a balance between now I just need to not reply.
Yeah.
I want to be on my phone, but I don't want to not respond to anything.
Yeah. I had to do something on my socials is just turn notifications off and filter out messages and things like that because it was just getting a bit overwhelming.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I found the balance. And another thing that I think, and I'm sorry if we're talking too much about content creation, but I think it's
it's a good,
okay. I think getting behind the fourth wall is important too, right? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering too, comments and rude things. Do you get rude comments and
oh my gosh,
hate?
we are so fortunate. My guests do. Unfortunately, some of them get rude comments.
Okay.
But so far towards the show, directly, for what? No. People have been supportive of the show.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
I think that's also because you guys are a pretty tight-knit community too, right? In Brunei.
Oh my God, you have no idea how toxic the keyboard warriors can be.
Even here.
Here.
But don't you feel like you'd see them outside? But you wouldn't know, right?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you get those? I'm pretty sure.
So, okay. here's the thing about comments. So for everybody who's watching out there who might be wondering about nasty comments, they're there. But I would say for most content creators, I would say like 90% is love. 90% is always love.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say 10% is bad.
Okay.
And but the problem with the human psychology and the human psyche is we focus on the bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you could have like 10 amazing comments. Myer, I love you. Thank you for coming to my country, representing, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And then it'll have like, Myer, you're so ugly. Your face looks like a raccoon. And then that'll stick, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I do look like a raccoon.
Myer, no, you don't.
You know? And or it'll be like, oh, you fake Muslim, why are you eating that food? Or it'll be some really, really crude stuff, which I can't even say here, you know?
Yeah.
And so I used to really focus on these comments when I first started because I was not used to like receiving comments, period, because my content never got that big, you know, before that. And then it started coming in and I was like, I would let it ruin my day. Damn. Like my whole day would get ruined, you know? Yeah. And even YouTube has an option where you can like, which most content creators do is like, it filters out the really, really bad stuff, you know? Yeah. Like if people curse you out and stuff. But we as content creators can still see that on the back end. You might not see it on our comment page because it gets filtered out by YouTube, but we on the back end can still see what people are saying.
Yeah.
So like I would read those. I would like torture myself. It's like I'm a what do they call that? Like a masochist, you know? Yeah. I want to feel hurt, you know? Yeah. So I would read these comments and I would really feel like hurt by them, you know? It would literally affect my days, you know? And then recently I got so good at not giving a anymore. I was like them, you know? Because like I was like, the love is so much more than the hate.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. And also I learned one thing. And somebody said this in a song or something, and they were like, "Don't fall in love with the love or the hate." You understand? Like,
yeah, I was just gonna add to that. I was gonna say that because I don't know where I heard it from, but similar to that, it's like for content creators, you don't let a compliment or a good comment validate what you do, because if you let a good comment validate, then a bad comment will also
100%.
Sound true to you when it's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love equals hate.
Yes.
You cannot be hated unless you're loved. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, don't fall in love with either one of them. Yep. You know?
Yep.
And I think that comes from just becoming a confident male, being comfortable in your own skin, and just knowing that what you're doing is touching people in positive ways, and you're doing it with the best niyat, which means intention in Islam, right? For me, that's my goal always. Like I do everything in my life with the best of intentions and not to hurt people. I don't make like shock content, you know, or like, you know, womenizing and that type of stuff, which a lot of content creators do. But that's not my goal. My goal is to just show the real, try to portray the best and positive. And if people love it, they love it. If people hate it, I'm sorry. You know, I can't make everyone happy. And I've learned to accept that. You know, I've learned to accept it. But yeah, you know, it's a journey. It takes time to become, and this is like, I think this is advice that people could apply to anything. Like you don't have to be a content creator. Yeah. You know, like even in families, people talk behind people's back and they'll talk in your face. They'll say like, oh, why are you doing this with your life? Or what? You know, if you are doing the right thing, if you're not hurting anyone, your intentions are good and you're passionate about something and you're a good person, then don't worry about what others say. You know, just keep doing what you're doing, keep trekking along and learn to grow thick skin. Cause the world we live in now is it's so easy for people to like have access to you, you know, especially when you're making content. Like, you know, you have 10 million social media platforms. Like, it's so easy for people to just reach out to you now, you know? So it's like, I feel like back in the day, like people who made content and like were in like Hollywood or movies, it was so different than what it is now, right?
Definitely.
Like, I feel like they were hard to reach.
Yep.
The star thing was like a real star, you know? I feel like now people are so accessible, which is cool in many ways, but it's also like, I guess it can also be a bit overwhelming. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But it's also the reason why we're able to do what we're doing.
Exactly.
Right? Because Hollywood back in the day wouldn't let people that look like us in.
No, yeah.
Right?
Now it's like they're trying way too hard to like. It almost seems sometimes disingenuous. Like, it's like, are you doing this because you have to? Is this like a PR thing?
Yeah.
Or like
Many times it is.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. A lot of times, like they call it diversity. What is it? Diversity. It's like inclusion.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'll see like advertisements back home in America, especially now. Like I remember back in the day, like you would see an advertisement and it would usually be like a white family. Like if it's like an advertisement for like a amusement park or advertisement for like a clothing, it would be a white family usually. And now it's the most ambiguous looking people. You can't tell if they're Asian, black, white. What are they? It's like they're everything in one. And they have to do it because it's definitely there's definitely inclusion, and it like you said, it's a PR thing too. But hey, listen, even if it's fake, at least we're being included. Finally, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I want to ask you, when you were talking about like the negative comments, right? Do you mind sharing one of the lowest moments you ever experienced during your
as far as like the worst comment?
No, like something that maybe happened that's like that really like made you step back for a minute, maybe like
Okay.
Yeah. And how did you like?
So I won't say the comment, but it was just like attacking me, my religion, and my saying I'm like not genuine, and just like ripping me apart, like for no reason.
Yeah.
I think just out of like jealousy or whatever.
Okay.
And I was like really, really hurt. I dealt with anxiety in my life, like recently too. I've like during COVID, my anxiety got really bad. Like, but I learned to like fight it now. I'm very good with it now. But I used to get like panic attacks. Like my heart would beat out of my chest. And anybody who has anxiety knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like my heart would literally be pounding out of my chest for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've dealt with that kind of anxiety, but I would like literally feel like curled up into a ball sometimes, like I wouldn't know what to do. And now, alhamdulillah, I'm a lot better. I know how to deal with it. I know when those intrusive thoughts and things are coming, I know how to fight it all. I've learned to like play tricks on my mind as well. But at the time when I first started, I was still kind of dealing with anxiety, and this kind of comments would come in and I would get like a panic attack, like thinking about too much, like, oh, these people hate me, blah, blah, blah. I would be like deep inside my mind, and my heart would start beating out of my chest. And like, I was really, really thinking to myself, like, can I deal with this? Like, is this something that I really want to deal with?
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about stopping, like content creation because of it. Yeah. That was like probably the lowest point where like, I literally got a panic attack from a bad comment, and I was just like, can I deal with this? Because it's only going to get worse. I was like, this is not going to get better. The bigger you get, the more hate you get, right? So I was like, this is only going to get worse. So I was asking myself, like, Myer, do you really want to deal with this? Like, you could be a private person. Nobody will ever know about your life, and you could just keep moving about your life very quietly. Or you put yourself out there. But it's not like I'm complaining because I decided to do this. Yeah. I put myself out there. Yeah. I could very well live a private life. Nobody knows who I am. Yeah. And so I'm not complaining and saying, woe is me. No, I put myself out there. I made this happen. So I have to deal with the consequences and everything that comes with it, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? But yeah, that was probably the lowest moment where I was like literally thinking about like stopping because of a bad comment.
How long ago was this?
This was probably when I was first starting, so last year, late last year, yeah. And I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah, me too. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I did go through it.
Yeah,
because I think everything we go through in our lives makes us who we are, right? It shapes us as people, as human beings, as a man, and it helps you move past and learn how to deal with it. you know. So I've learned how to deal with those things. If I never went through that, maybe I would have to experience it at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd be deeper into this and then think about quitting, which would be terrible because my platform is now growing. I have people who love watching my content. So I'm glad it happened early on.
Yeah.
And I got to deal with it, get it out of the way. Now, keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. We can deal with it, no problem. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that was my lowest point. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the highlight of your career so far?
So far, the height. It's just so many things, man. The height is it's. You know, having my biggest monetary month was cool. You know, I don't like to throw out numbers, but it was good. It was good.
Okay.
It was really good. And just knowing that I could like make, you know, good money from content creation and just being able to like, that was cool. And it's not because of the money per se. It was more so just like doing something you love, even if you make $1 from it, as opposed to making $100,000 for something you're not passionate about.
Yeah.
It just feels so much better.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was like a really cool moment, like making a decent check from it. Mind you, I was like still making more money in real estate.
Yeah.
But just the fact that I know I could do it and I have the ability, then it was like, all right, now we go full steam. Now it's time to go hard.
Is it strictly from how you make money? Is it strictly from YouTube and Google AdSense?
Yeah. So right now, my main bread and butter is Google AdSense, is advertising dollars.
Okay.
So I'm a slave to the algorithm in many ways, but we all are.
Yeah.
And you know, it's I'm trying to branch out and kind of parlay it into other things as well.
Like repurposing your content, you mean?
Repurposing it, also trying to monetize on Facebook.
Okay.
People don't know, but Facebook is another great way of making money off content. And so what I'll do is I'll make shorter clips of my longer form videos, which I see you do as well.
Yeah.
Instagram doesn't really pay.
No, they don't.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to
but it's a good marketing platform.
It's a good marketing platform for like sponsorship deals and stuff. But Facebook, you can actually make money off of in-stream ads.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. You need minimum of 5,000 followers.
Oh.
And I don't know how Brunei is though. With I heard that like because I've been watching YouTube videos here and no ads pop up.
I was gonna ask you, do you notice that Brunei is YouTube Premium? There's
no ads.
Yeah,
So
which is why it's hard for us to monetize. So far,
oh crap. So I'm not gonna make much money from Brunei.
no, but if outside people watch your video,
if outside people watch, but
in Brunei, no, there are no ads.
So this is purely a passion project for me.
Dude, imagine for us, it's been 22 videos. We've made only USD 40 so far. Yeah.
Okay, so your main revenue comes from like
sponsorships and like which we haven't found yet. We are in talks right now.
Oh, they'll be coming.
Yeah, we're very confident from the get go. We knew we were gonna get sponsorship. It's just a matter of when.
When?
Yeah, because like one of our guests said, like in order to get something, you have to give value first.
Yes.
You have to keep giving value, and then people will be like, "Here you go."
100%. 100%. You do have to provide value. I learned that too. You know, I was like, why aren't they coming to me, man? Look at me. I got like 5,000 views, but they have to see that you can consistently provide value.
Yes.
Yeah. And demographics and all of that stuff as well, which is great for you because like, I feel like in countries that are smaller, like Brunei, like, it's such a target audience. You're reaching your people right away.
Yeah.
It's like a direct line, you know, into the blood, rather than me, who like my audience is all over the world. It's so spread. It's so hard to like pinpoint exactly who it is. So it's tougher for me to land sponsorship because it's tough to convince an advertising or a company that, hey, I have a Filipino audience, I have an Indonesian audience. So the products that I'll have to be sponsored by are more like worldwide.
How about the tourism industry? You feel like,
tourism industry is good. But it's also very arbitrary. It's different in every place.
Okay.
You know, there's the way it works is different in every place. So it has to come from more like travel products, maybe like VPNs, those kind of like worldwide products that people can use everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where but you guys, like, I feel like you can, once you have your Brunei audience, you can kind of be approached by anybody because you have your target audience. So for me, it's tough to like pinpoint exactly who my target audience is. So that's why right now I mainly rely on YouTube advertising dollars. But what I'm trying to do is like, It's with YouTube for me, it's like it's great, but I worry sometimes because I'm like I'm under the tutelage of YouTube, so it's like if they decide like to do something, then my money could be gone like that, if they decide to change their terms and
which happened previously, right?
Yeah,
like twice I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The adpocalypse and all of that. Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm kind of under their yeah. So
I can see from your face. You're like,
yeah. But I'm like trying to parlay it into other things. I have plans, so stay tuned, guys. Sorry. But yeah, right now it's mainly YouTube advertising, which I feel so bad that you guys don't have that. Yeah. What's up? Come on, guys. Come on, YouTube.
Yeah, I think it's honestly because YouTube, a lot of actually the social media platforms, Brunei will get the features or the monetary side like the last. I think it's because of the population. I think it's because of the consumption is not there yet.
Okay.
But to be honest, around Asia, Brunei uses the use of Instagram in Brunei is like up there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I just don't know how they see Brunei yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't know about Brunei.
Still, I feel like after the Sharia law that was announced in Brunei that put Brunei on the map, like Ellen DeGeneres, George Clooney were like boycotting us.
But you guys are in a bubble, so you think that everybody's watching that, but nobody is.
Okay.
Most people don't know Brunei. Like I've mentioned Brunei to a few people when I was coming, and they didn't know. I didn't know about Brunei a few years ago.
Okay, then tell us how you came across Brunei. How did you even know of Brunei?
Okay, so funny enough, do you guys know about Drew Binsky?
I only recently. I don't follow like.
He's a travel vlog. He's one of the OGs in the travel vlogging space. He's traveled to all 197 countries.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he's definitely a guy that I look up to in many ways, but also he's my competition. But he's way ahead of me. He's like light years ahead of me. But he actually came to Brunei before most vloggers, and he didn't say the most flattering things about Brunei. If that's my first introduction to your country, then that's not cool.
Oh.
And it was. Oh. It was my first introduction. Because he was saying like, oh, it's a hermit nation. It's like a North Korea of Southeast Asia. Things like this, Yeah, he was saying things like this. And I was like so fascinated by Brunei. I was like,
because of that video.
Because of that.
So isn't that sort of like reverse psychology? In a way, it makes people want to.
It makes people want to know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my first impressions from the video was like, oh, it's a weird country. Yeah. You got to stay away. You got to be very careful when you come to Brunei. You can't do anything. You can't spit on the floor. Maybe you'll get It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
And so my goal getting into this space, and I'm drifting more and more towards this, and being a Muslim, I think one thing that happens a lot with our people is we get put into like a box, right? A very general box. Like people think like, oh, it's a Muslim country. The first words they think terrorism, they think extremists, they think Sharia law, they think jihad, they think all of these things, right? I come from America where I'd have to after 9/11, I dealt with real racism. I'm from New York where the towers were dropped. Being a Pakistani guy, I really dealt with like some real stuff. So like my goal, and I feel like God is giving me a platform, right? And I have to do something right with it too, right? I can't just mess around, and I feel like this is kind of a responsibility. So now my goal is to like go, even if it's not a Muslim country, at least visit the Muslim. There's always a Muslim community within every country, and kind of shine a light on and show people and tear down these stereotypes that Muslims aren't like these extreme terrorists, like crazy people that the media has portrayed us to be for the last God knows how long, since 2000, since the 9/11, like Muslims have been portrayed as straight up like crazy people, And my goal is to show people, and not through having to say it, because they can just watch me. I'm a Muslim. I represent Islam in many ways. The people that I'm talking to, you guys, everybody, we represent Islam, right? As we walk. So like my goal is also to show people like, well, we're normal people just like the rest of you. Like, don't listen to everything that the media says. So this is like something I'm trying to do. That's why coming to Brunei, that was my goal too. I was like, okay, so and since Drew Binsky, there's been other vloggers that came and definitely shine a good light on Brunei, and seeing those also helped.
Yeah.
So you see, right? So if Drew Binsky was the only idea I had of Brunei, that's what I would have thought. But then these other guys like Khalid Al Amiri came and they said like really, really nice things about the place too. So it does make a difference, you know? So my goal was coming here was to like kind of shine a light and show people like it's really cool. And I think you made a good point. I think maybe he didn't make friends and I was able to make friends here. And I think that's why my experience here is completely different. Yeah. I think it's really important to meet locals and conversate with people on the ground to really learn about a place. You can't just go to like tour guides and stuff, you know? Yeah.
So tell me, okay, so your reference about Brunei was mainly from the Drew Binsky video.
Yeah.
So now that you've experienced Brunei, I understand it's only been a few days, but what are some of the biggest misconceptions? Even before you just like hearing about Brunei in general, like what are some of the biggest misconceptions that you've heard and then now you're here, it's like, oh,
okay.
It's not even.
Biggest misconception, I think, right off the bat was the way women are in the society. I almost felt like maybe it's like Sharia law that women aren't allowed to go outside. They have to be fully covered in niqab and burqa, like just to be allowed out. And then I come to realize like women are such an integral part of this society. Like they work a lot. Like most places you go, there's a girl working behind the counter or working in the, in the shop or whatever it may be. And so even though it's like a Muslim country, you still see that women play a pretty big role in society, and they really are a really, really integral part of the system here. I'm sure things could probably get better, whatever. I don't know the deep inner workings of things, but just from what I'm seeing, that is definitely something I think I noticed was nice to see. You know, I was happy to see, and I think. Another thing was like, I almost felt like maybe people would be really closed off, like from the world.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't know, like I wouldn't be able to relate with people on things, like if I tell them some, pop culture reference or something, but people are so well aware here.
We're whitewashed. we have, there's a heavy Western influence in Brunei.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. One thing that I was really, really impressed by was the proficiency of English here. This is one of the countries that I traveled to in Southeast Asia, or just in general, actually, where I realized like most people here can speak at least basic level English, if not advanced level. Like sometimes I feel like I'm speaking with native speakers. Like when I sit with you, I'm not slowing down my tone at all. Sometimes with like people who don't speak full, because I was a teacher, I know exactly how to deal with second language, English as a second language or foreign language. But with a lot of people in Brunei, I never felt like I had to like slow down or like, really enunciate my speech, which was really cool. I felt like I'm speaking with local like native English speakers. So that was something I was really, really impressed by. And I guess it's because the way you guys are educated and all of that. So that was definitely a bit of a shock to me. I always gauge like English levels in countries as soon as I get there by the taxi driver. If the taxi driver can speak English, then most people will be able to speak English.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. If the guy cleaning the airport can speak some English, most people will be able to speak English. That's my gauge on English level. Yeah. Yeah. So when I saw that my taxi driver picking me up from the airport was like great at English, I was like, oh, all right. Well, then, this is going to be easy. And that's how it really ended up being. So far, like I haven't had to like struggle with like language barrier here. That was really something I was surprised by. And I guess one thing that reigned true from the things that I saw, but in a great way, was the peace here.
Okay.
Like how quiet it is.
How slow
it is.
Yes.
Like when I watched Drew Binsky's and these other guys, like they showed how quiet, even during like the middle of the day, you go to like the downtown of Bandar and it's like so quiet, like I was there yesterday, and I was like, holy crap, this is the middle of the city and it's so quiet.
To you it's quiet. To us, lunchtime is like, oh my god,
it's too loud,
so many people. But to you it's like, this is nothing.
You can hear a pin drop. And that's something that reigned true. but it's like I said, in all the best way, because like I like peace. I could get used to it.
Yeah.
I could really get used to that.
Yeah.
That's like one of the nicest things. Like I could sleep without waking up to like horns and beeping and cars passing by fast. Another thing that I really loved here compared to other Southeast Asian countries is the respect for pedestrians. Like people stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, they do. They do.
I was so surprised by this. Like, because I'm used to like Thailand and Philippines and Indonesia, where like you literally have to watch out for your life every time you cross the street. But here, like you go to approach the crosswalk, and like people are stopping from like way back.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh snap! Like that's something that I wasn't used to. So I usually wait for the car to pass by, but they're like stopping on this side, stopping on this side. They're telling you please cross, and I'm like, this is so foreign to me, you know. So the respect for pedestrians, although I don't see a lot of people walking here, but as a foreigner, like walking around, that was something I was very like impressed by, for sure. I like that. I like those little civil rules in a society. That's why when I went to Korea, like they're also very much like that. Like, you know, those morals, like in the train, in the metro, they have like special seats for pregnant women and ladies, older women, sorry, and pregnant women. And even if there's no pregnant women and the train is like empty, nobody will sit in those seats, just out of respect. There's so much like a moral value to that, you know. And I like that. There's something cool about that. People respecting those things, you know. Because I don't come from a place like that. Yeah, we don't care. Yeah, we don't care about those things.
Like even as a Bruneian, I always feel like whenever I have like friends from overseas come to Brunei, like I always say that Brunei is a place if you need to detox, if you want to retire, Brunei is the best place to retire and just live that quiet life.
Yeah.
Like even as like someone who, because for me, I want Brunei. Brunei is home. Brunei will always be the base. Like I do want to like, you know, work overseas, but like Brunei will always be the place I will come home to.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like, it's just so quiet.
Yeah.
And it's like so peaceful.
How do you feel when you go to like another country that obviously is like
I
maybe not
enjoy
as-
it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I enjoy it so much because I mean in Brunei, because we live in Brunei, there's only so much that you get to do. And when you're going out of the country, it's like you have a lot of like million things that you can do, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why Bruneians, we travel a lot.
Yeah. And you guys have the ability to. Your passport
Brunei
is
yeah.
your passport is very strong.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like Brunei is also central if you want to go to places. We've got direct flights to UK, like to Middle East and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So do you? So you said something that you do want to live overseas at some point.
I do want to work overseas.
Work overseas at some point. And that's just purely from being here your whole life and just wanting to experience the difference.
Well, that one. Secondly, it's also because I didn't get to. 'Cause most of my friends, they got to study overseas. Mostly in UK, and I didn't get to experience that. So that's why sometimes I'm a bit wary when I'm talking to like foreigners, because I don't know like what if I say the wrong things and stuff like that, right? I'm also like not educated socially in terms of like culture wise, but recently, like, you know, because I've surrounded myself with the right people, they tell me this and that, blah blah blah. Also, you know, doing the work myself, educating myself on foreign stuff. Opportunities wise, that's why I want to work overseas too.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's mainly the reason why I want to work overseas. Mostly opportunities and just experiencing different cultures.
Yeah.
But then again,
this is home.
this will always be home. I will never. I don't see myself moving overseas.
Like permanently.
Permanently, no. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I noticed about the people of Brunei is they're very prideful of their country, and I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, over patriotism can be a bit damaging sometimes, but there's a sense of pride here that like is nice. Like people want to show you their culture, they want to show you their food, they're proud to talk about their country, and that's there's something really nice about that, you know. Just like you saying like that this is home, even though you do have the opportunity to leave. You know, like my family is from Pakistan originally. My dad left Pakistan in the 80s. And luckily, I was born in America, which gives me the opportunity to be able to even do this. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to travel like this on a Pakistani passport. That's just real stuff. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but that's just the truth,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And like, you know, when we go back to Pakistan, you see the situation there. It's very tough there right now. I mean, politics, the corruption. And I was there actually this past Ramadan after 20 years of, actually 19 years of not going to Pakistan.
Yeah,
I went when I was a kid. I went back and it was just so sad to see like some of the youth there have no opportunity. They have nothing that they can do. And obviously when a country is in that state, there's no pride. They just want to leave and never look back, you know, and it's a shame. It happens to a lot of places. People leave and they never look back. So to hear you say like that you would leave, but you would always come back, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because that means you're grabbing resources and bringing them back.
Yeah.
You're grabbing knowledge and bringing it back.
Yep.
Which I think is the problem with a lot of like countries. What happened is people left. A lot of the brightest and talented people left and they didn't look back. And it's not to blame those people because I understand the situation in a lot of these countries is just in the way that there's no opportunity for them if they went back.
Yep.
And so what happened is a lot of these countries didn't get to benefit from the cream of their crop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's a shame when I see that when I went to Pakistan, when I went to a few other countries, but I can speak on Pakistan specifically because, you know, obviously that's where my family's from originally.
Yeah.
So
I mean, don't get me wrong, there are people who feel like that as well. It's because people who are just so passionate about the growth of Brunei and like its potential. So I do have friends who work in the government who are very frustrated with their like superiors because they're so complacent and like every time a youth or like someone younger suggests change, it's like looked down upon. So we do have people like that, don't get me wrong, but I think mostly still even when they do feel like that, it's like everyone still has like that Brunei pride. It's at the end of the day, we love Brunei and we just want to make sure, you know, we grow it to its potential.
Definitely.
And then our Sultan, he's like, oh my God, he's the most hands-on leader.
I heard.
He goes on a ministry tour every now and then.
I heard like, so I sorry to cut you off, but I heard like there's like a Sunday thing that happens in Bandar.
Yeah, Bandar Kuchria.
Yeah, and I heard that he'll just show up there.
Yeah, with his family, and then they cycle with the public.
That's really cool.
Dude, it's like I get so
It's like
emotional.
one with the folks.
Yeah. I think one thing that Bruneians, we all like, we respect him and we love him so much, like so dearly. That's why when we like, why can't the government like just, you know, help him?
Yeah. Well, sometimes, you know, it's funny, like even in the States, like people think the president is the one who's in charge, but there's a lot of other factors to it that have been set in stone for so long.
Yeah.
Like you have people in Congress who've been there for like 40, 50 years, and it's so hard to like get anything to change and pass through.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happens is the guy at the top is the one who takes all the brunt and the blame because obviously that's the face.
Yeah.
When really it's not coming from that
it's
president,
like,
it's coming from the branches.
Yeah.
But obviously the guy at the top, the face, is going to be the one who gets the blame for it, right? But I think that's really cool that that he's like one with the people. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. When my friend told me that he like comes out and he's really cool, and my friend said the same exact thing. My friend said the same exact thing, that like he's really like with the people, one with the people. I was like, cool. Maybe I'll run into him and say hello. You know,
he would definitely say hello back. But like, also one thing I want to tell you, this is how much he cares about his people. If there is a complaint submitted to any agency and it doesn't get through, nothing is done, anyone can just approach him and send him a letter.
Wow. And it will get done.
Suddenly you've got a visit. Suddenly that agency will get a visit from him and like things will change.
Things will change.
That's how much he cares for his people.
That's cool.
And that's why we, as Bruneians, we care so much about him too.
Okay.
Like,
that's really awesome. That's really cool, man.
And sometimes it's annoying when you see this Western media, like they write about him and it's like mostly just about his wealth and stuff. Like, yeah, there's no denying he's one of the richest men in the world. But I wish they would also like talk about his kindness more and how much he cares about his people.
You know what it is? Like the West is obsessed with their way of thinking, right? We want to push democracy on everyone.
Yeah.
And being an American, I am not afraid to call out the faults of my country. There's many things that America does wrong. I mean, look at what's going on right now with Israel and Palestine,
Yeah.
which if you want, we can talk about it. I don't know how you feel about that, but, like, there's many things that our country's like America's always trying to push the democratic agenda on people, not realizing that some people don't want that.
Yeah.
Because they're living just fine with their way of doing things, right? Yeah, I'm sure, and there's no perfect system, whether it be dictatorship, whether it be communism, socialism, or democracy, right? But we in the West, we think that our way is the only way. And so when anybody else is doing something different, we criticize them with what we understand is right.
Yeah.
And what we believe is the only way of doing things. So because the Sultan is practicing a different way of government or a different way of doing things, we feel like, oh, this is not right. Why is he doing this? He's so rich. Well, I'm sorry to say, but like the guys like Joe Biden is a very rich guy too. But the thing is,
Get me started on him.
but the thing is, Joe Biden, they'll make him look like he's a humble, like just an old, decrepit man. No, the guy's making a whole lot of money off of policies that he's passed as well.
Yeah.
And so don't let that fool you. All of these politicians in the West are very, very rich off the backs of people.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is just Western propaganda. And that's why my goal is to come to places and kind of experience it for myself. Because what I realized, one thing that I really realized from traveling, like, it's so funny, if I'm about to travel somewhere, first thing I have to do is obviously look up visas.
Yeah.
Can I get a visa on arrival? By the way, the visa process was super easy for me here.
Yeah.
I just came. They literally just made me fill out a card, stamp, boom, 90 days. I can stay here for 3 months if I want. Like, what was I saying? Oh my God.
About traveling and experiencing it yourself.
Yeah. So one thing that I learned about, like, when I'm looking up the visa thing, it'll take me to the U.S. Department of State website, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's so funny. Like, some of the places that I've experienced that are the most peaceful and kindest places, on the travel advisory, it'll say level 3, increased caution, do not travel to this place. Meanwhile, it'll be like the Philippines, where people are literally like welcoming you with like open arms.
Yeah.
And so once I experienced that, I was like, oh, this is bullshit. I was like, oh, this is really bullshit. Let me go experience it for myself. And that's when I learned, like, yeah, a lot of it is just nonsense, propaganda, the news. A lot of it, what you're hearing, is just not real. Yeah. And I wish that our platforms could get more of a light, because we're really showing you what's up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm walking on the streets talking to people. Like, this isn't some agenda that I had planned, that I have like big media entities behind me to get the right person to say the right thing. No, it's literally walking down the street, talking to a random person, getting their random thoughts at that moment. It's not like some contrived thing that happened. Like CNN and all of these people, they spend, months curating some story that they could kind of put out and shock content or whatever, right? But for us, it's just like raw, real stuff. And so what I learned through travel is, like, don't believe a lot of the things that you hear. It's best to experience it for yourself. And I learned that from my own experience of actually doing this. Yeah. So yeah, it's so sad to me that, like, when I travel to places, sometimes people are like, you sure is he gonna be safe? Is it okay? Blah, blah, blah. Granted, there's dangers everywhere, I don't think in Brunei. I think Brunei is pretty safe from what I hear, but
we do have, but it's very low. The crime rate is very low, but it still exists.
It still exists. I mean, there's crime everywhere in the world, right? I mean, look at America. Like, we claim to be this beacon of light, but like, there's school shootings all the time. There's people getting shot. We have so much guns. Like, it's crazy, And so who are we to stand on a pedestal and judge others, And traveling is really the best education I've ever had. School, all of that stuff, it was all like what they wanted to teach me, in the way that they wanted me to
it's the
learn
system.
It's a system.
That's what I always say, like, escape the system. Yeah.
So yeah, I learned a lot through travel, and I'm so glad that I'm living my life this way. Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Like, I really, really I'm looking at you and I'm like, wow, this guy living that life, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, I hope that everyone can feel this at some point in their life, like doing something that they love and being able to like really do it, you know? So yeah, I hope that, you know, people watch and can feel a little bit of inspiration and do what they want to do, you know,
Yeah.
in their life.
I want to ask you, if you don't mind, we travel back in time because you mentioned
Definitely.
this now after 9/11.
Yeah.
Like, you experienced some crazy after that,
Yeah.
you know, as a brown kid growing up. Because I've never had this kind of conversation, I just want to, like, if you don't mind sharing, what kind of like
100%.
stuff do you go through after that happened?
So I grew up in Staten Island,
Yeah.
Staten Island, New York,
Yeah.
and anybody who knows Staten Island out knows what I'm talking about. Like Staten Island is a bubble within New York.
Okay.
It's not too far from New York City. It's literally like a 20-minute, if there's no traffic, which usually there is, but if there's no traffic, it's like a 25-30 minute drive to get to New York City, right?
Yeah.
So we're not too far removed from the city. So there is a big diversity in Staten Island, especially now. But Staten Island is very conservative and old school in many ways.
Okay.
Like the good old times, you know?
Yeah.
And so like the when I was growing up there, it wasn't bad. It was after 9/11 that things got really bad because what happened was the media started pushing out this agenda of like that Muslims are bad, and obviously being a brown dude, like this is the faces that were being put on TV, right? Was like brown people. So I got lumped into this.
Yeah.
So like, you know, kids would like call you terrorist, like, you know, or like I got like rocks thrown at me one time while I was
No.
walking home from school.
Myer.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, like little pebbles people were throwing.
From other kids or like adults?
Yeah,
Like,
from like other like middle-aged, you know, kids. Like, hey, you terrorist. Yeah. It happened. It happened a lot. And then I moved to New Jersey, which is literally like the next state from New York, but it's also like very close to New York City. So also a lot of diversity, but still that old mentality. The school that I went to it was called Colonia High School, a very dominantly white town. This was a shock for me because Staten Island wasn't dominantly white when I was in the school. Like it was a lot of mix, but when I went to this school, it was dominantly white, and like it took a long time to get adjusted to it because you know I really did stand out, and even there I experienced racism, man, a lot of it. Like, you know, people call like my first year in my freshman year, my parents know, like I got into a really big like fist fight with a kid because I just got fed up. I got fed up with, you know, I was like, I'm going to stand up for myself. All my life, I was like, I had this like inferiority complex. Like I had to make other people happy or like change who I am to like make other people feel comfortable. Like, no, this is who I am. Like accept it or I don't need to impress you or be somebody else to impress you. And until this day, you see how fired up I get about it, right?
Yeah.
Because it still hurts like to know that, yeah. Until this day, people still think like this, you know, but now the only difference now is I don't give a anymore, right? But at the time I was young, I was impressionable. I wanted people to like me. I didn't want to be the one that stood out. Now I don't care. Now I love being unique. I love being different. But at the time, you know, when you're young, you want to fit in. You want to be part of the cool kids.
Yeah.
And the cool kids were like these white jocks, football, like you see in movies, you know? And like I wanted to be. So in my first year, I joined the football team, even though I'm a basketball player, just to like try to fit in, you know? And this one kid, like in gym class, he were going back and forth, you know, and then finally he calls me, he's like, oh, you terrorist or whatever, right? And I literally just got up and just like started wailing on him, and like I threw him to the ground, and I just
Well done.
I would not stop.
Yeah.
I would not stop until the teacher literally had to grab me, pick me up off of him, and like hold me because I was like so in a rage. This is the last real fist fight I got into because I like let it all out there, and my dad was so pissed. I got suspended for like 2 weeks from school, and but now when I told my dad about like what happened, he's like, you know what? I'm glad you stood up for yourself. Like, yeah. But at the time, obviously you're young. I'm getting suspended in my first year of high school. Like it didn't look good to the school either. They're like, this kid just came who is he? I wasn't in the system even, you know,
Yeah,
and now I'm in the system as a kid who got suspended, you know, and getting into fights. So I really changed my name after that, and people saw who I really am. But yeah, like it was like that, man. It was really like that. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And
that
I didn't even have it that bad. So people who are watching, like, my story is just something small. Like, there's people who like lived in even more conservative states, and they must have gone through even worse things, you know, like real, like systemic racism, like where they couldn't get a job because of being Muslim, or they couldn't, you know, join an organization because they were Muslim, or they couldn't play this sport because they were Muslim, or they couldn't be part of this crew because they were Muslim. So, like, or brown or whatever, you know, or Asian or whatever. Yeah, so it was a real thing, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time maybe did your dad ever, you know, pulled you aside and like, hey, look, did he prepare you for anything? Was there ever a conversation like that? Do you remember?
I'm just laughing because like Pakistani parents don't do that.
Oh,
They're like, deal with it, you know? Well, you know, my dad now, me and my dad are really close now.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have a really good relationship. But growing up, it was a very like father-son, I'm afraid of you.
Very formal.
Very fear-based relationship.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's how it is in Asian households usually.
Yeah.
It's a fear-based thing. Like, you respect him out of fear, not because you respect him, right?
Yeah.
Now I respect him out of respect. We're like friends now, you know?
Oh.
But at the time, it was more like I was just scared of him, and he was mad that I got suspended. And I bet now if I have this conversation, which I did, it's completely different. But at the time, it was more of like, hey, just do what you got to do. Because like we're talking about like my dad came to America in the 80s, where he had to deal with probably much crazier than I did, right? Like coming in the 80s when being Pakistani in New York was still pretty rare. Now there's so many Pakistani or Muslim people in New York, but like at the time it was still rare. So I'm sure he had to deal with a lot of shit. So where he's like, listen, Myer, like, just, you're gonna have to learn to like, you know, just relax.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That was it basically. It wasn't like, hey son, you know, these kind of things. No, me and my dad didn't have that relationship when I was young. But now if I had this conversation with them, yeah, it would be completely different. It'd be like, yeah, I understand why you did it. Like, it's good that you did it. You stood up for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was younger, it was more like, don't get suspended from school for fighting, you know? It's gonna mess up your education. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's something real, man, that like people really deal with. And not just us brown people, like Asian people deal with it. All kinds of Asian people deal with it. Of course, black people have been dealing with it since the beginning of time in America. Basically, if you're not white, you know, you dealt with it at some point. But now things are getting better. Like we talked about the diversity, inclusion, and all of that. Like, but to be honest, like, a lot of it is just like virtue signaling and making people feel like inclusive because they have to, which, like I said, I'm fine with, even if it's fake, you know, at least you're including me. Yeah. So, but that's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a
Thank
real
you
thing.
so much for sharing with us all of that. Like, crazy journey.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel about that now, thinking back? Talking about it.
I don't know if you noticed, but like when I was speaking about it, I got very passionate because it still hurts.
Yeah.
It's like that little kid inside of me that still like wants to fit in. Yeah. But on the larger scale, like, I always say, like, I would never change anything that happened in my life.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me this, like, while I was going through it, I would probably say, please make me white. I don't want to deal with this, you know?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm so glad that I went through everything that I went through, because I think it prepared me for everything.
Yeah.
Going back to like the YouTube comments, like how could a YouTube comment affect me if I really went through that, right? And I think it helps you grow thick skin. I think everything you go through in your life, every endeavor that you pursue in your life, I used to say like, oh man, like I really wasted time. I wish I started making this content earlier. I wish I became a content creator earlier. I'm almost like, I'm 30 years old now. I need to like, you know, get things moving. I wish I did it earlier. But I come to realize that I wouldn't be this guy if I didn't go through those things, right? So this is why I'm able to do what I'm doing.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, it goes hand in hand.
Divine timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I like that.
Yeah.
Divine timing. Yeah. Do you feel like that?
Always. Sometimes when I reflect back, like I always ask
How
myself,
old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was so happy when you said 30 because I'm only 4 years older than you.
Ah, okay,
I'm 34.
Cool. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Nice. Actually, no, I'm turning 32.
You're turning 32.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now the gap is.
I just rounded down. Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
'cause
right.
it feels better for me.
Yeah.
But I'm turning 32, so the gap is even less. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Yeah,
I actually, I love being in my 30s.
yeah.
I actually do because
Why?
like I feel like everything that I've gone through, similar to what you said, shaped me into who I am today, and I feel a little bit more whole than I was because like I also went through some shit when I was a kid, like scarred me for life and stuff like that. But sometimes when I reflect, I'm like, I wish I have this knowledge now when I was a kid. But then again, I wouldn't have become who I am today. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to have a conversation with you like this if I didn't go through what I went through.
100%.
You know,
I think you realize that in your 30s. I think
life begins at 30.
Yeah. I think that doesn't hit you until you get to this age, because in your 20s you're still trying to like figure out who you are,
Trying to please
trying to please people. Yeah. And then you hit this point where you're like, well, you hope to hit the point where, I don't think everybody does, but you hope to hit that point where you're like, this is the sweet spot. I'm comfortable with who I am. I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Now it's time to go get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So
Cheers to us.
yeah.
Wow.
We did it.
Yeah. A long way to go, but we're starting.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Yeah.
So, like, is this what you're doing, like full time podcasting?
Yeah, I
now,
decided to leave my 9 to 5. I think last year. Was it last year? Yeah, to just do whatever I want. Yeah, in terms of content creation, production, because this is what I get up every day feeling excited about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even though the money is not completely there, it's there here and there, but
Yeah,
like
it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's coming.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's coming
Yeah.
for both of us.
Yes, for both of us.
Like, do you ever worry about it? Do you ever feel like
Yeah.
a bit stagnant and like afraid that it might not work out? Do you ever feel like that?
Yes, but not in a way. I feel worried about it, not for me, because I live with my mom. She's a single mother.
Okay.
I just want to be able to provide her with the life that she wants and give back to her. And the only way I can do that is like, being able to buy her food every now and then, or like take her out, spend more time with her, buy her whatever she wants.
Nice.
So I'm more worried about not being able to do that for her because like she's old. I'm also getting older. Like
Okay.
my one wish is like, if anything I can ask from God is like to not take me away from her until I've been able to do that. And then like I can die happy.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
We think very differently. So I know one thing I noticed about like Asian within the people who live in Asia, and that can go for all of Asia, as opposed to like us Americans who are also Asian, but we live for ourselves more.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about me. I don't think about, and I'm sorry to say this, like I love my parents, but they're the same way.
Yeah.
So I noticed like here, like parents will take care of their kids as long as they have to. With us, it's like, all right, 18, 20, like, yo, the clock is ticking. What's up? What are you doing? You still here? And vice versa. Like, I'm not thinking about retiring my parents, but that's because alhamdulillah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're set. They worked really hard in their lives. They're going to be fine. But I hope that there's something that I can do for them.
Yeah.
I hope that I can add to that equation.
Yes.
But it's not like my sole purpose in life that I have to make sure that my parents are going to be, because they're fine. But they also didn't treat me that way.
Yeah.
Like if they were like, Myer, we're gonna coddle you till you're 35, then I would maybe think like that, right? But the culture is completely different. Yeah. In America, in the West, it's like we're on our own. Every man for themselves.
Yeah.
So,
I do sometimes wish that. I'm like, can you just get off my back? Like, I'm 34. Why are you still telling me what to do?
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
But also, it goes both ways.
It goes
right?
both ways. Yeah.
So for us, it's like we don't even think like that. Like we think more like, what am I doing with my life, and how am I gonna make my family my?
Yes,
it's not like my parents, but I really do respect that about like the people who I've met in this continent of Asia. Like a lot of people, they say they have this sentiment of like, I gotta make sure my parents are good, and I think that's really beautiful, man. I wish we thought more like that, you know. But I think the West, it puts that mindset of like independence, independent.
Yeah.
Everything has to be like independent, you know. And so we don't. Our dynamic is a little bit different with our parents. Yeah, and this goes through and through all my cousins and everybody who's in America. Like, yeah, we all think about our parents. We all want them to be okay, but in many ways, they kind of took care of that on their own. We don't have to worry about that, you know. So it's an interesting difference between between cultures.
I really enjoyed this conversation. Like, I didn't expect to go in depth about different cultures and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think? We were just gonna talk about YouTube content creation.
I mean, I knew I was gonna ask you like about yourself.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like I'm getting so much from you.
I think we're deep people. We're deep thinkers.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I think a lot of people see my vlogs and my content, and they think I'm like some surface level human being because I don't get deep in vlogs. Obviously, you know, there's certain content where you can do that, which is why I like these spaces too, like being able to speak on a candid level.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm gonna try to do more, which I haven't done, is do like lives and talk to my fans and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm so afraid of live.
Why?
I just feel like I'm gonna disappoint people.
What do you mean?
I just feel like they have this expectation of me, and once they see me live, that I might not be able to live up to that.
It's okay because you'll attract people who will vibe with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let those people who, oh, I thought he was this, let them go.
Okay.
Because you'll eventually attract people who like, hey, he's cool.
Yeah. Because what they're seeing on the vlog, that energy is completely different than if
for
I'm sitting in a
sure.
room being live.
Yeah.
Because it just happens from the stimuli and the things that are around you, right? Like when I'm walking through this, let's just say like Pasar Malam, there's so much street food, so many vendors, so much smells and a sensory overload going on. The energy is different there.
Yeah.
You know, my energy towards people is going to be different in that setting than if I'm sitting in a room doing a live. And I'm afraid that like people expect me to be like this. And I've always had this in my life.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I'm rambling on here. Okay.
Completely.
I've always had this in my life where I always felt like I have to be the clown, like entertain, like juggle for you. Performer. Yeah. I always felt this. And I still feel like that. Like, I always am afraid to like let people down. Yeah, I'm always afraid of that. That's like my biggest fear is like, I hope that I can make people feel entertained. Like I want them to feel happy and excited. And if I'm not bringing that energy, then it's all on me. That I always felt like that. So that's why I'm afraid to do a little bit afraid.
Then the more reason why you should do it.
Yeah. Get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, either that or I feel like podcast long form content will allow people to get to know you more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to reach out to podcasters when I'm traveling now.
Yeah.
And you were actually the second one that I'm doing.
Okay.
But really I'm like really enjoying this conversation, you know? And just being able to like speak on a deeper level. And I hope that the people are able to like see who I am deeper than
pretty
just
sure they are.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like we've covered so much and I feel like you've also opened up a lot. I guess we can talk about your travels now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you ask away because it's so hard. Just to kind of like precursor, like people ask about travel. Tell me about your travels.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not like
where
what
do
do
I
you
start?
actually want to know?
So,
I do want to know a couple of things because I recently got back from a trip as well, right? The least enjoyable part for me about going away is the packing. How much do you pack? What are your essentials? What's your must pack?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you say that. It's actually the most annoying part of traveling, especially when you're traveling the way I do.
Okay.
Because I stay in a hotel for no longer than 3 days usually. And then I have to pack again.
Yeah.
So I unpack, pack again, unpack, pack again, unpack to the point where I have a system of how I'm going to pack.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, it's the worst. It's the worst. But what I usually like, so you're asking like how I travel, right? So I usually have my it's a smaller luggage, a hard shell luggage, which I keep most of my clothes in and my hygienic products and all of that.
Yeah.
And then I have another little duffel, which has like a few pairs of shoes. And then I have my book bag, which has my laptop, my life,
Okay.
my passport.
Yeah.
Like if I lose that book bag, my life is pretty much gone.
my God. Yeah.
So I keep that really tight with me. And actually, funny story. So you ask about luggage. So I've taken over probably 150, maybe more flights this year.
God.
Yeah, probably more, but that's just a roundabout, right? And this is domestic flights within countries, international flights around. And this is the first time when I was coming. So my flight here was from Bangkok to KL, KL to Bandar.
Okay.
So Bangkok to KL, I was good. I know my bag was there because I literally had to check it in at the gate because the lady said sometimes it's Air Asia. By the way, Air Asia is like the most budget and it saved my life throughout my travels.
Okay.
But it is literally like sitting on a bus in the air.
Yeah.
So like she was like, "Oh, the cabin is full. We have to check your luggage." And I was like, "Oh, that's fine." So she puts the tag on it at the gate. And she's like, "You can just bring it to the plane. They'll put it in." So I know the luggage was with me from from Bangkok to KL.
Yes.
What I don't know what happened is once I got from KL to Bandar, I'm waiting at the carousel for because usually I'll carry my bag on.
Yeah. You don't check it in.
I don't usually check in.
Yeah.
So I usually get away with not having to check it in unless it's Air Asia because they have a very small limit. It's like 7 kg or something. So I'm waiting at the carousel. I'm here in Bandar. I'm waiting, and my bag is not showing up. And I'm looking at the guy who's like the security over there, and I'm like, he's looking at me. He's like, this guy's been standing here for a while. And so he comes up to me. He's like, "Sir, are you okay? Is everything okay?" I said, "My bag's not coming." And he's like, "Oh, where are you coming from?" I told him I'm coming from KL. He's like, "Okay, just wait a few more minutes." And it's still not coming. And then finally I just asked one of the people, I'm like, "Is there any more bags coming or am I just waiting?" I keep seeing like orange, blue. I literally memorized the bags on the carousel at that point.
Oh my
God. Oh man, my bag is not coming, And then finally I asked, he's like, no more bags. So I had to go to Lost and Found. And this was the first time this whole year of traveling, my bag was lost. And I heard so many stories about people's bags getting delayed and lost.
Yeah.
And I used to think man, it's crazy that I traveled this much and it hasn't happened to me.
Oh my
yet.
God, you just...
I jinxed it, man. I literally jinxed myself, and I come here, and this is the first time, and I didn't have any of my stuff for. So actually, shout out to 27 Supply Company who gave me this T-shirt.
Wait, no way.
yeah.
The owner was a guest in my show.
Oh, Alfian?
Ryan. Oh, Alfian is the partner.
He's the partner, yeah. So and the younger guy is the one who was a guest, right?
Yes.
So shout out to you guys. They gave me such a nice shirt. Actually,
Dude.
vlogging, yeah, and this was the only shirt I had for a few days, along with the clothes that I came with on my back.
How did you even?
So this also happened in the mall. They have the store in the mall, right? So I'm vlogging and I'm like just meeting people as I do, and I see a cool store like hip hop that's like right down my alley. Hip hop, fitted caps, cool sneakers, cool t-shirts. I was like, let me just stop in and talk to the guys. We had such a good conversation. It'll be in the mall video, by the way, for the Brunei videos, so you guys can check that out. And we had such a cool conversation with Alfian and the other guy. I forgot.
It's not Ryan, right?
Is he a younger?
He's younger with glasses.
Glasses, yeah. Very gentlemen, both of them, very nice guys. Great conversation, and we're talking, and then finally he goes, "I want to give you a T-shirt," and I was like, "Oh no, I'll buy a T-shirt from you because I need clothes anyway. Plus, I want to support." He's like, "No, we're gonna give you a T-shirt because I told them my story and everything."
Oh yeah,
they were so cool. And then they gave me this T-shirt, and they were like, "Yeah, man, just represent." So shout out to 27 Supply Co for the T-shirt. I've been literally wearing. I love this T-shirt. So
it looks.
It's a local clothing company.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But they really have like good quality shirts. Like I love the quality of this T-shirt. It's really cool. So yeah, this was like the only shirt I had for a few days, but I love it. But then finally, after like 3 days, my bag came in and they gave me a call. I was so happy. Yeah.
But do you know how or why it was like lost?
It just happens. You know what happened? I think like when you have to check in, if you have to check in a bag, just do it at the check-in, because once you have to do it at the gate, things get a little bit weird. There was no barcode scanner. You know, usually they have those barcode scanners that it was like all manually written, and I think something got lost in the paperwork and my bag got misplaced. But luckily it came, man. I was so worried because I had a watch in there, which comes from like my grandfather. grandmother to my father. It was like an heirloom, like a family heirloom. I was most worried about that. But luckily, alhamdulillah, it came in. You know, I was like praying to God, please, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. You know, and luckily it came in, man. So, but you know, it's like I stayed calm. It was like it was all in my vlogs. You'll see, you know, from the moment I lost it till I got it back. So, but it was an interesting experience. But yeah, that's usually how I travel. I travel fairly light, but you also have to realize like everything in those bags is what I have. So I have to like keep some shoes on me. So I don't travel super light, like just a backpack.
Yeah.
But yeah, just enough to like be able to survive. Plus I like to look decent. I have to be on camera all day. So, you know, like I like to, you know, stay, you know, swagged up a little bit. You know? Keep my swag up.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's usually how I
Travel. That's how you pack your
yeah,
stuff.
that's usually how I pack.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree with you. The most annoying thing about traveling is the packing, you know?
And the unpacking.
And the unpacking. And then the packing again.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm leaving here in a few days and my stuff is all over my hotel room. I'm gonna have to gather it all up and do the same thing, and it's just it's rinse and repeat, and repeat. But you know, first world problems, big deal. You know,
with every place that you travel to, do you ever have to leave stuff behind because you are carrying more stuff than you initially got in?
Yeah. So one thing I'm trying to do now is like give away things.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just like even if I like something, like at some point I might give this away, even if I love it. I think this is a great thing to practice.
Okay.
Separate yourself from material things. Yeah. Try.
Yeah.
Even if you love it. Yeah. There's certain things that are in the family that you shouldn't give away. Obviously, you want to keep it in your family. But like with like clothing and material things, like I'm practicing that, even if I love something. So I've given a lot of clothes and things away, and I'll usually give them to someone who I know needs them. And in the countries that I visit, there is a lot of poverty, and there are people who need it. And so what I'll do is like, I'll spend a few days in a place, and I'll kind of keep my eye out for people. Like people who say hello to me, or like the guy who's like cleaning the street, who like I know he doesn't have too much, and I'll just one day after doing laundry, first I clean the things first. I don't give him dirty clothes, so I'll wash it first, and then I'll give it away. Yeah. So a lot of times I do have to do that, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to. Yeah. Because I'll buy things. I'll buy like traditional clothes. I'll buy like, you know, I was in Bangladesh. I bought like their cricket uniform. I like buying like things like that. So. But yeah, a lot of times I do have to end up giving things away because, like you said, my bag would be overfilled. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to pack it all.
Oh my god!
So that's something I've been trying to practice. Actually, somebody told me about that when I was in Nepal.
Yeah, and you just started doing it.
And I just started doing it. Yeah, I was like, let me just try it, and it feels good.
Yeah,
it's good to separate from material things. Yeah, just like things that you think you need or you think you like wouldn't be able to live without, and then it feels good to give it to someone who probably could use it more than you. You know, so. Yeah.
Okay, now the reason why I don't travel much is because I actually have fear of flights.
Really?
Yes, I do. Final Destination for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now I want to ask you, have you ever been on a flight where you were convinced you were going to die?
Yeah.
Like, tell us.
Actually, it was very recently.
Oh,
so I was flying from, where was it? It was within the Philippines.
Okay.
It was
domestic?
Domestic within the Philippines. It was like a 2-hour flight. And it was like a local airline. I forgot if it was like Philippines or Air Asia, one of them. And I was flying from Manila to, I think, Zamboanga, which is like another, you know, Philippines is just a bunch of islands basically. And that area of the world, like even this area of the world is very, what do you call that storm?
Because we're in a...
What is it?
Tropical?
Not tornado. Not tornado.
Monsoon?
Monsoon prone.
Yeah.
Monsoon prone. And yeah, stuff like that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Some weathering
Nature.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nature.
Yes.
Water falling from sky. Yeah. And a lot of flights like have turbulence when you're flying this, but this was literally
I'm scared.
the whole flight was
2 hours.
Like 2 hours of people like literally on the edge of their seat crying. Some people were crying, and the flight attendant was trying to calm them down, like, don't worry, it's gonna be all right. And I was just sitting there like, man, this could be it, you know. this might be it. It sucks. I didn't even message my family before getting on, you know?
Wait, this is giving me so much anxiety.
Sorry, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it was a scary one. Because like I'm not afraid of flying at all.
Okay.
You can't be with doing what I'm doing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
When that happened, you're like,
but I was really like my life was like flashing before I was like, oh, this could be it. This could be it. And
my stomach just like,
even like the flight was like dipping, you know, like it was like up and then it would dip quick. Like it was like going through clouds and
like
stuff.
puking. I feel like I want to puke at the same time. You have no idea how much anxiety I have over flying.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's literally stressing you out, right?
right now, I'm like,
Yeah. So I was just kind of like, I was just praying in my head, like, please God, just let this plane land. And yeah, luckily I'm still here. But there's been a few of these.
Okay.
There's been a few of these. I mean, when you take as many flights as I do, the statistics are that you are going to end up on a flight that's either turbulent or might just crash. So
you do not want to say that to me.
well, it's a numbers game, right? So luckily so far I've been all right. I've been fortunate. But I do have this thought a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very morbid thought to have, but I always, every time before I'm flying, now what I do is I tell my family, like, hello, I'm flying here. I love you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I just do that. My family actually started doing that, so I started doing it too. Whereas like, just say it, you know, because like my thought that I had on that flight was like, man, I didn't even say anything to my family before I got on this plane. It would suck if I die and like, that was like the last conversation we had was from God knows how long ago. And so I try to make the effort to do that before I fly now and just let them know where I'm going. So like if God forbid something happens, they know. But yeah, I do have that. It's a morbid thought to have. It's a very scary thought to have. But I realized like if I'm doing this full time, like it's just something I have to accept and get used to, you know? But yeah, sometimes the anxiety gets really bad before flying. Have you felt, do you get angry? I'm sure you get really anxious.
So that's why I take pills now, motion sickness pills, and like if I can take sleeping pills, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, like even now, like just thinking about it, it's really making me so nervous because the flight back from Kuching, it was a bit shaky. It wasn't that bad, but to me, it's like enough to make me like. And then the production team, they didn't pack the pills that I took going there. So I was like, oh my God, I have to endure this. Like, and it's all mental, right?
It's all mental.
But thankfully I didn't puke. I did felt like I needed to, but I saw some people going. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to queue. I don't want to stand up. I just want to stay put. So I put on some cartoon to calm me down.
Okay. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Can you sleep on an airplane or no?
I have. I can. I think I can.
If you take sleeping pills.
Yeah, but even if I don't, I feel like I can when I'm like tired and stuff. Yeah,
I fall asleep like on the runway sometimes, and I'll land and wake up. It's happened to me many times.
That's
like
good, right?
It's really
have to experience.
Really nice.
Yeah.
So one time you ask about crazy flights, right? So one time it was like a red eye, super tired, and I forgot from where to where. I've been flying so much, I don't even remember. But I fall asleep on the runway. And apparently this is a really shaky flight, but I don't know because I'm sleeping the whole time.
You must be really tired.
And so what happens is I have a dream. I have a really, really bad nightmare that the plane is going down. I swear this is my nightmare.
I'm stressed.
It's my nightmare. And I wake up in a plane.
Yeah.
I wake up in a rush in a plane having the dream that my plane was going down. And I wake up and the flight is shaking. So now I'm like, is this a sign from God or something? Like, what is going on?
You start to overthink, right? You're like, is God trying to tell me something?
God trying to tell me like this
Especially
is it?
Before boarding,
like God, why couldn't you let me just stay asleep if the plane's gonna crash? I'd rather just not know, you know? And now I'm having all these thoughts. I'm sitting in the emergency row too. So if something happens, I'm responsible for opening the door, you know? And I'm just having all of these thoughts. And literally, that was a very scary time too. That was a very scary moment that I've had recently. Like I had the nightmare that the plane was going down. And then I wake up and it is a turbulent flight. and I'm sitting in the emergency exit row. Yeah, and I've already accepted responsibility that I have to be the one that pops the doors open or whatever. You know how they ask you when you're sitting in the I'm like, yeah, sure, I got it.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, shit, I might have to actually do something. Yeah,
Holy
that was another very scary moment recently that I had.
Have you flown using RB?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Yeah.
Because the reason why I feel safer using RB is because before you take off, they read the doa.
Oh,
They read
okay,
the
okay.
doa, which is why it makes you feel a lot more
Okay, it makes
more
you
accepting of whatever happens.
Well, I read dua on my own in my mind.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know-
But when it's coming from the loudspeaker, it definitely feels a bit more like,
Yeah.
God's got us on this one.
Which is why I don't like. I hardly travel using AirAsia.
But can I tell you a funny statistic? And I'm sure many people have
They have told me I know what it is.
There's more like car
road accidents.
than like you're much safer on an airplane statistically than you are.
But only because there are more cars on land than there are.
Yeah, there's a more of a sample size. But also, like, let's be honest, like, how many plane crashes are there in a year? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, most statistics say most probably you'll never ever be in one.
Yeah.
For you to actually be in one, you have to be a very 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 unlucky person.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah. Is this wood?
Yeah.
Is this real wood?
Yeah.
Real wood. All right, cool. One of these is okay.
And you know what's so funny? My mom was a stewardess.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like why
for RB?
From RB, yeah.
Oh,
she was like the second intake. Like she was one of the first. I think she was one of the first stewardess in Brunei.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
I don't know why it didn't transfer to me.
So she's like totally cool with flying. Obviously.
I mean, because every now and then she does fly, she still feels like she hates it when it's turbulent. Yeah, I think
did she ever tell you any scary stories?
Yeah, back when it actually even made the news.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like there was a flight that was I think the oil was leaking.
Oh man.
And just imagine, this is like back in the day.
So when the planes weren't as
and then I think there was royalty on that flight as well. Prince Jeffrey was on the same flight as hers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was basically like a shout out to the pilot and the air stewardesses that they handled it pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, so they survived that. I think they had to like stop in one of like I don't know if it was KK or something. Yeah, to fix the plane and then continue flying.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. My parents actually went through something really crazy. My parents were literally on
I want to know this. Okay.
Yeah. So my parents were on a flight back from Turkey and I was the one that was picking them up from New York, right? So I picked them up and like they're like, you know that face of shock? And they're not talking to me. I haven't seen them in a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, is everything? I thought they got into like a little fight on the plane or something and they're just not talking or something. So I was like, okay, let me just leave them for a second. And then finally because from JFK airport, which is in New York, to my home is a long ride. It started getting really awkward.
Yeah.
So then finally I'm asking like, what's happened? I'm making jokes, trying to juggle as usual.
Yes,
like I said, like trying to entertain and they're like not speaking. And then finally they open up. They're just like, we almost died. And I was like, what happened? Da, da, da. Their flight was actually on the news. Like there was a plane that like Boeing was flying that they weren't supposed to be flying. They actually had to ground all these planes. There was something faulty in the plane. And the plane was actually, the sensor was something, there's like a sensor. I'm not like a plane engineer or whatever, but there was like a sensor that's supposed to like balance out the plane. But the sensor was actually it's a Boeing plane. It was making the plane's nosedive. So the planes would just straight up, when the sensor would go faulty, the plane would just go. So their flight literally went from going like this to like straight up boom. Like there was people who didn't have their seatbelt on that like broke their legs. Their noses were bleeding. There was a flight attendant whose head was like cracked open.
No.
My parents luckily had their seatbelts on. So even my dad kind of hit his head, even though he had his seatbelt on because it was loose.
Yeah.
And he hit his head. My mom was okay, but they were like in such shock. And this was actually a flight that made the news. Yeah. I think they got like reimbursed for the flight, whatever. But the trauma is still there. But yeah, that was a scary moment for them. Now when they fly, they're always worried. Obviously when you go through something like that, and then for months like. My mom would like text us before we would fly, like make sure she started doing all this research on airplanes and what they're supposed to do before flying, and she's like make sure they're like checking the wings, and I'm like, how the How the hell am I supposed to know? You know?
What are you gonna? Hey, have you? That wing look like.
Excuse me, pilot. I didn't see this right wing go up and down before flying. Please stop the plane. Like, what the hell am I gonna do? You know? So yeah, she would like scare the hell out of us before flying, and I had to literally tell her, I was like, Mom, please. Just don't text me this stuff.
Yeah,
I'd rather
it's
just.
actually more,
It's
like-
more, yeah. It makes you more anxious. So I just told her, I was like, please, enough with this. So finally, she stopped. But yeah, I mean, you know, obviously that type of stuff really, really impacts. It really makes an impact. So that was a very, very scary story in my family. But luckily, nothing like that happened to me. You know,
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely some scary flights for sure. But it just comes with the territory.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think you could do what I do and be afraid of flying. Yeah. I know some people who are like similar to you, actually worse than you, who just never fly. They'd rather just they just stay in America and just drive everywhere. Yeah.
Probably similar to me. They're probably waiting just for like a teleportation device.
Yeah.
You know.
Pretty much. Yeah. It sucks though, because it's like that stops them from like seeing the world, you know. They want to do it. They want to travel, but unfortunately, they're so afraid of flying that they'll never really get the true experience. So
I think one thing that would help so much is that if they don't know, there are pills
yes,
that you can take to just
knockout.
yeah.
There is Ambien. You know, there is some stuff, but you know, it's still the fear of just getting on the plane. I think, right? Knowing that you know things could happen. So, but for those watching. You'll probably be all right. Don't worry. Probably. Keyword.
Oh my god. Okay, so now I want to ask you, what is I understand you're traveling after this on Friday, but in terms of like your career, what does success look like to you?
It's a great question. This is why you're paid the big bucks to do this. Success to me, I already feel successful in a way, but success to me is really okay. The root of success to me, this is a tough question. The root
You can take your time.
Yeah, the root of success to me is what we already spoke about before, is like doing something you love and getting paid for it. That to me is like success in itself, right?
Okay.
But then you start to like change the definition as you go along. You know, you start to move the goalpost a little bit. And for me now, it's just like, okay, I want to be at a place where like, inshallah, if I have a family, like if I have a wife and children, which I do want to have, speak it into existence. When I have a wife and children, I want to be able to take care of them and give them a great life through what I'm doing, you know? And if I can give my family a comfortable life, when I give my family I'm sorry, I'm trying to like, now I'm very cautious of it. Yeah. When I give my family a comfortable life, like I want to be able to do that through what I love doing. So that's success to me. So I don't need to be the richest man in the world. I'm actually a very simple person as far as like, I don't really need like the fanciest things, the fanciest cars. I've had those things. And like I told you, like I realize that that's not what makes me happy. Although it does make some people happy. You know, there is some people who like, if they have like a Porsche, that's all they ever dreamt of, and it's gonna make them happy. And there's some people who get really happy from like, you know, seeing their mothers happy. Or there's some people that get really happy from, you know, just simple things. Or some people love watches and, you know, which I love a lot of these things, but that's not what's going to make me happy. So to me, it's like being able to continue to get these experiences around the world and being able to use it to take care of my family. That's success. Yeah. So
Amazing.
to be comfortable doing what I love and to just keep this show on the road, really. And then also, to parlay it into other things. Cause the truth of the matter is like, how long can I travel like this? Right. Like, I'm 30 now, or 32, if I want to get technical. I'm 32 now, almost 32. And, you know, obviously at some point this is going to start to take its toll. I try to stay healthy and physically, mentally, in every way. But obviously at some point I'm going to have to slow that down. So to be able to, use my platform and parlay it into other things that also can bring revenue.
Yeah.
So I don't have to always be on the road.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So make my schedule in a way where when I do have a family, see how cautious I am now? When I do have a family, I'll be able to like spend more time with them. I don't always have to be traveling, but I don't ever see myself like stopping travel. Yeah. Like I'll do it either way. I don't want to be the couple vlogger. I don't want to be the family. Nah, I have no desire for that. I actually want to have
part of you that's like more
completely private. Yeah, like I don't want my future wife to be in any limelight. Because I have heard of people who are like this content creator couples, or you know, some kind of whatever media they're in, but they're both doing it. It's a very difficult kind of dynamic, you know. I think you need a balance. So for me, I think like that would be success to me, you know. Amazing. To have a family that I can take care of through doing what I love. Inshallah. Yeah. So yeah. Trying to get there, you know.
I mean, you will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I will.
You will, yes.
Speak it into existence.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely.
Is there a travel or a destination that you are super excited about? That you haven't been.
That I haven't been.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited about all of them.
Every single visit is like.
Actually, I always say this, like even in my vlogs, it's so one of the most exciting feelings for me is the feeling of coming into, like when I came into Brunei for the first time and stepping out onto the pavement for the first time and like taking in the smells and the sights and the people and the sounds. Like that to me is the most exciting. There is nothing that gets my blood going more than that initial feeling of being in a new place for the first time. So anytime I go to a place for the first time, it's very exciting. Even when I come back, it's still exciting, but it's obviously not that feeling of the first time because like now I know it a little bit. I'm more acquainted with it. But coming to a place after the first time is also exciting because then I get to get deeper into it. Yeah. Wow. But yeah, that feeling of like just coming to a new place, like I was so excited to come here and experience everything for the first time. I would say that's probably the best feeling for me, the most exciting. I'm sorry, is that what you asked or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm answering your question. Sometimes I tend to like drift and tangent. Yeah. So I just want to make sure I'm actually answering your questions here.
Okay. What about like an actual physical? Do you plan on just staying in this part of the world or?
Okay. So there are some vloggers, like I mentioned Drubinski. There's a lot of guys who want to cover all 197 countries. That's not my goal.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to go to places that I am excited to go to.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter where it is in the world. It doesn't matter what region it is. It doesn't matter, you know, like it doesn't matter about what religion they are, what culture they follow, whatever. If it's something that sparks my interest, then I'll go there.
Okay.
But it's not like it's not like I have to cover every single country.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I actually I prefer Asia. I prefer Asia and Africa as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just interests me. Yeah, and also like vlogging in Asia is a lot easier than other places.
How so?
Because like vlogging in especially in Southeast Asia, like there's so much culture, food, stimuli every time you walk outside that other places don't have.
Okay.
Yeah, so it makes vlogging so much more interesting and fun. Some places, like if you go in Europe or if I had to like vlog in America, you're almost having to like pull stories, like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Because it's not just there.
Yeah.
Here, like I walked outside, there was just like food and people and I feel like in Asia, like Southeast Asia, like people are easy to approach in most countries. And that makes, because like I said, my content, like everybody has their thing, right? Some people like focus on just food. Some people focus on just like experience, like adventure, like zip lining, those kind of things. Some people focus on luxury experience, like staying at the 5-star resorts. My thing is like talking to people. Yeah, that's my thing. So like through food, through walking through a mall, through like that's how I talk to these people. Like, so if you were looking at it like from a baseline level, it would be like conversation is the first thing, and then it comes through all of these channels, right? So for me, I feel like in Asia, it's the easiest place to like speak with people. They have their guard down. In America, one thing that's very different from here is like if I walk up to a random person in America, they're like, "Yo, what's your motive? Like, what do you want, bro? Like, yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me?" Most of the time. Some places people will be more open to talk, but in New York, people will be like, "Yo, who are you, bro?"
Either that or they're just rushing from one place to
Yeah, it's like we don't have time.
Yeah.
But here it's like people are open to talk, especially if you're a foreigner. They want to know about you.
Yeah.
They're interested. They're curious, you know? So to be able to have those conversations with guard down is nice. In America, it's always like, "Are you trying to rob me, bro? Like, why you being so nice to me?"
Yeah.
In America, we always feel like someone's trying to get over us, trying to get something out of us. It's a very like defensive mentality. People always have their guards up. So when I experienced the hospitality of a lot of these countries for the first time, I was like, "Oh, it's so different." I was talking to another American guy actually here.
Okay.
He's married to a Bruneian girl, and they own like a business together, like a food business. And he was telling me like, he also experienced that. He's from Connecticut, which is not too far from New York, and he also experienced that coming in this part of the world for the first time. It was like people are so open to talk and have conversation with random strangers. Which we in America are not used to because like I said, we always have our guard up. Especially in more city places because like we're always worried that like somebody's trying to like screw us over or like, what do you want from me? Why are you being like, it's never like, "Oh, we can just have a cool conversation." It's always like, what's your motive? You know? And I didn't experience this open form conversation with strangers and not having to worry and just put your guard down until I came to this part of the world, which is why, when you ask about like, do you plan on sticking to this part of the world? Yeah, probably in this region, Africa too. But Africa's a little bit tougher to vlog because in Africa, like in Ethiopia, when I went, like they love me out there now after I've represented their country and showed them who I am, my true colors. That because what happened in Africa is most of the people that went there in the past, they went there with the exploitation kind of like they went there to like exploit the poverty, to make shock content about like the culture and show people like, look how poor these people are. So they're always a little bit weary about like, what are you trying to show about us? Once they saw my intentions, then they were willing to drop their guard, you know? So it was still, even there, it was still that whole thing of like, what are you trying to do? But once you show them your intention, then But the easiest people to talk to in the world has been in this region. And I've actually said this to a few people, like Brunei. Am I saying that right? Am I Brunei?
Brunei, right?
Brunei, Is it Brunei or Brunei?
Brunei.
I just want to make sure. Okay, Nai.
Yeah.
All right. Not Nai.
No.
So like I always said like Filipinos. Have you ever been to the Philippines?
I have never.
The Filipino people, and there's a lot of Filipino people here too, but when you go to the Philippines, they're very, very hospitable, very, very friendly people.
I've heard.
Yeah. Super welcoming, super friendly. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. They're so welcoming. And I also felt that here. I would say this is top of the, as far as like friendliness and being able to just walk and talk to people. Yeah. I would say, Brunei is up there.
Yeah, Brunei.
Not Brunei. Brunei. Yeah.
Okay, then one last question before we end this. Because we're an independent entity, we're a podcast that's not tied to any like, organizations. What would you say? Because I'm saying that because I want you to like not be worried if you say like something not nice.
Okay.
But what would you say like Brunei can improve from an outsider standpoint, or what would you say is the most unpleasant thing about Brunei so far? If there's any, even. I'm not trying to bait you into saying things, but only if there's anything that you've experienced so far.
I don't think, and I'm not just saying this just to be nice. I would definitely say it if there was. I don't think I've experienced anything like too. Like, I don't think I've experienced anything like that would make me feel like that. Yeah. I don't think so.
I'm glad.
Because everyone's been kind. The food has been great. The culture is cool. Everybody's really welcoming. So to me, it's like, Yeah, maybe I'd have to live here longer to probably be able to comment on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would find something if I stayed here long enough. But from first impressions, yeah, no, I haven't really experienced anything that would really make me feel like this needs to improve or no, I haven't. And like I said, I think maybe that's because I haven't spent too much time here. I'm sure there are things that many people would comment on and say that could be improved. But me personally, I haven't really felt that, you know.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
And I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not like
I believe you. I believe
I'm not just like trying to like pander here. Yeah, I'm being honest. Yeah. I'm an honest person.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell.
I can tell that.
I just say it like it is. So, it's been blessed, man. It's been blessed. So, and then sitting here with you guys has been really awesome. So thank you for having me, man.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you for contacting me. Thank you for even like wanting to spend the morning with us.
No,
you're leaving in 2 days.
Yeah, no, it's really a pleasure to be here and to have this conversation with you, and
likewise.
And I hope that the people can resonate with this. I hope this resonates with a lot of people, and whether it's on the content creation side or travel side or whatever it may be. But one thing that I would just like to say before I leave to anybody who's watching is like one of my things that I always say at the end of my videos is continue to learn, continue to grow, and there is no growth until you leave your comfort zone. And what I basically mean by that is like leaving my comfort zone was leaving America, leaving my bubble and experiencing other cultures. Your comfort zone can be anything. Your comfort zone can be like, oh, you like to eat like donuts every night and you're obese and you're afraid to go to the gym. And your comfort zone, getting out of your comfort zone in that case would be like, just go to the gym and start working out and you'll see how your life will change. Your comfort zone can be like, oh, you're a hermit. You like to stay inside. You don't like to talk to people. Leaving your comfort zone would be like making conversations, going out and trying your best to talk to people. Your comfort zone can be like, oh, you're shy. You're afraid to talk to that girl that you like. Like, no, just take the chance. The worst that can happen is she says no. But like, the point is like, to grow in this world, you cannot just stay in your comfortable little bubble. You do have to, just like you did, you left your comfortable little job and now you're pursuing something that's a bit more risky, right? But it's helping you grow and learn. And so I think it's one message that I always try to tell the folks. So, see how you can leave your comfort zone. It'll really, really change your life and impact it in many ways.
Thank you so much for wise words. Those wise words.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much, Myer.
Thank you for having me.